Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is July 26, 2022, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the market's wavering before major events this week. And speaking of which, major economic events coming out today at 4 p.m. South African time out of the United States. We have a consumer confidence number. Now that is tantamount to the NFP and to the FOMC rate decision, which is coming out also tomorrow. Now, before we get there, tonight, after the U.S. markets close, we have out of the United States, Microsoft and Google will be publishing the quarterly earnings. Very important numbers, so we are looking at that as well. Now, looking at the various markets, looking at the Forex symbols, the major pairs wavering sideways. When we look at the indices, the Dow Jones holding its gains, while the NASDAQ retraces, looking at commodities, gold steady, and oil gains. And looking at the stocks, trickling lower. And lastly, Bitcoin retraces to support. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So historically speaking, when we look at a 4-hour chart of the Euro USD, is it trading still in a decent range? Yeah. But, I mean, if we compare it to what it's been trading over the last couple of weeks, it's been in a really tight range. Okay, so it's just holding itself at this 1022 level. Keep an eye on it because it is at resistance-ish level, developing a resistance-ish level, at least at this short interval. Now, looking at the Gbp Usd, also at the top of its range, and the Aussie USD also at the top of its range. The Aussie USD being the strongest one out of all the three pairs, as always, versus the dollar. So keep that in mind going into today's session. Now, jumping into commodities, first looking at gold. Gold yesterday continued its rally just a little bit, 1724 after raising from last week's 1684-ish level. So it's just maintaining, it's steady, it hasn't fallen down, but it is at the top of its range, closer to the top of its range. So more likelihood that it's going to still retrace, but not really a high probability trade to take because it's closer to that top of their range or actually closer to the middle range. So not really any kind of persuasion leading us into a trade there. Now looking at oil, this did rally to $98 from yesterday's low. As you can see here, it did rally that decent level from 93.85. That's what it looked like before. And so it's also trading in a range, in a tight range, upper range $99, lower range $93-ish. So keep that in mind as this goes into today's session. Now this is really where the buck meets. We're looking here at the U.S. markets. First, the Dow Jones trading at 31,850. It did get to 32,100, did retrace, not a big deal, but it's at the top of that range. When we look at the NASDAQ, also trading at the top of that range. Let's look at a daily, that's a little bit better. But here it even retraced a little bit. So keep that in mind going into today. Microsoft and Google are coming out with numbers really very important. If we look at them individually, Microsoft has really been, I would say, weak-ish. Every time it's the first one to go down, it does have this, receding channel still, okay? And it does have, in a short term, it does have this, if we look at that, you can see it quite clearly. It does have this wedge formation that it is developing for itself. So this is a really key area, either on the upside or the downside if we're going to make a correction. So keep that in mind looking into today's session. Now looking at Apple, did retrace as well below its 200-day moving average. If we look at a weekly, not very good chart. If we look at a daily, never hit that 200-day moving average. Whereas if we look at Facebook, it's right there on the didn't even come close to its 200-day moving average. It did gain yesterday, but nothing to really write home about, okay? Still on a downwards momentum, at least in a 4-hour chart, as it broke that 30-day moving average. So it's still bearish on the downside. Now looking at Tesla, it did get that perk up, and this is what I'm talking about. At the top of the range, 825, but didn't break higher than 200-day moving average. That's a really important level for it to have broken. And it looks like it's taking a breather here, and if the markets go down, then this will follow suit as well. So keep that in mind. Now lastly, looking at Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin trading at 21,000 after hitting 23,800-ish level, even possibly touching 24. So it has retraced. Okay, it does have support at this 20,000-ish level. but still no major conviction on the upside there either. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.